All right, so a lot of people ask me this question. I've been back from Japan into America for about 3 years now. And the question always is, hey, what brought you back? And I think it feels like I've told this story for probably at least 1 million times. And here's how it goes. Oh, well, in 2000, I had a business. It was a small boutique fitness business. I did security consulting. I taught seminars and workshops. In 2011, Japan had a giant earthquake and tsunami, which a lot of you probably remember you saw on the news. Well, at that time, the economy collapsed. The Japanese culture was very much about helping the community. My boutique fitness thing was a month to month. It was a little more high end. So in 24 hours, I lost 80% of my business. Oh. I was also a wedding pastor. Wedding pastors are there for more entertainment purposes. You get married in the courthouse, that's how you're legally married, but people do the ceremony as something fun to do. It's a high-end deal, there's big events, and for a wedding pastor, it's like working in a factory. You get 8, 10, 12 weddings a day at sometimes. You just blow right through them, boom, 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 boom. Anyway, that business dropped by almost 75%. So, time went on. A few months later, I had to close the doors of my studio, live off credit cards for a couple years, barely made it, and wife moved back here with my son without me because we couldn't afford 3 of us to come back. And finally, a year later, I was able to join them. Now, that story is great because people feel sad for me. Oh, that's so hard. You failed your business. But you know what's sad about that? Not the story itself. It's the fact that that wasn't why my business failed. Those were reasons and excuses I like to use because it makes me feel better. See, businesses don't fail. People fail. I failed my own business. It was in a downward spiral before anyway. I didn't see it. See, I failed to take responsibility for some of the things I needed to do. I failed to understand some of the dynamics of the culture I was in, the market I was working with. I failed to learn the things that were necessary to learn a small business, that needed to be running a small business. I was really good at some things, but I failed to learn some things. And I didn't stay engaged the way I needed to stay engaged. I was basically completely out of harmony, personally and professionally. So that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today, and I mean very little, because I don't have time for the entire deal, but I have something called the rule of harmony. Because when you begin to go in harmony, whether business or professional, things come together. But now, understand that harmony is not this cross your legs, and hope you float. That's not harmony. Harmony basically is from a Greek word, I think it's harmonia, and it basically means to join in agreement. Think about music for a moment. It's taking notes and joining them in agreement to create that beautiful music we like to listen to. It doesn't say, hey, this note, you're too low, this note, you're too high, you should change and come meet in the middle. It has nothing to do with changing the notes. It's putting those notes in agreement so they sound good together. In conflict resolution, it does that. So this is called the rule of harmony. And it works for everything. It is so simple, but it's not new. It's just a way for me to understand it. So here's what it is. Number 1, take responsibility. R as in rule, take responsibility. Oh, but Steve, I'm in a conflict at work, and it's not my fault. It's all of their fault, and it's never my fault. Oh, by the way, ever, never, 2 words you should probably never say in a conversation with anybody. Oh, but it's, okay, it's not never, but it's 99% the other person's fault. They're always wrong. Oh, there's it again, always. They're wrong. 99% wrong. What can I do? Well, what if you took responsibility for that 1%? See, in my business, I failed to take responsibility for some certain things. I thought things were going well, but I missed a few things, so I failed to take that responsibility. You seek to understand. Stephen Covey said this in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Seek to understand before being understood. That's great in interpersonal relationships, but it also works great in your personal and business relationship. Understand your market. Understand where you are doing business. Understand what's going around. Understand the people you work with. Understand the team dynamics. Seek to understand. L, be a learner. In life, you're growing or you're dying. A plant grows, it continues to grow, then it begins the dying process. We're the same thing as human beings. Our business is the same. Your business is growing or it's dying. Mine was dying, I just didn't see it. Here's why. See, I knew a lot about fitness, I knew a lot about security and workshops for self-protection. I knew nothing about running a small business. The great cliche, work on your business, not in your business. I don't know what that means now. Because, see, I didn't take the time to continue to learn what it meant to run a business. My accounting was a complete disaster. I had money coming in from here, and I would just say, look, wedding's making me good money. My business must be good. Oh, no. Lots of problems. See, I failed to learn what I needed to learn. And E is stay engaged. Not just engagement of physical in doing engagement, but emotionally engagement. So your mind works like this. You have a thought. That thought leads to an emotion. Those emotions lead to an action. That's the way the process works. It could be good or bad. See, if you have negative thoughts that lead to negative emotions, I promise you the negative actions will follow. That's how the mind works. It's fascinating. And it's not new. It's nothing new, and we didn't invent this. In fact, for those of you who might be churchgoers, there's a great verse in the Bible. It says this: be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It says this: whatever is good, whatever is praiseworthy, whatever is wonderful, think on these things. Why? Because throughout all generations, we know that the things we think about are transformed into some type of emotion, and that emotion develops into action. So be engaged emotionally. Be engaged continually. The rule, it's pretty simple. Take responsibility, seek to understand, be a learner, stay engaged. Whenever anything goes wrong, you simply follow the rule. So, when you're at work and it seems like your team is falling apart or the people around you have all these problems, what do? Follow the rule. When you're at home and there's some dysfunction or there's family dynamics going on, good or bad, and you're not quite sure what to do, what can you do? Follow the rule. If you'd like to know more, my name is Steve. I have a big long thing. I do lunch and learns. I do other stuff. Go ahead and contact me.